For me, what's so compelling about the Melbourne General Cemetery is that it's really the story of Melbourne in microcosm. We see the story of colonisation, of dispossession of Indigenous people. We see the story of multicultural migration to this city, and a city that's architectural fashions have changed as its fortunes have ebbed and flowed.
It's really important that students understand what's in a site and what's been there before. And that's where the collections come in. From historical maps to old plants that have been here in the herbarium collection, even designs and ideas that people have had for a place. Being able to cross-check and make sense of a place through literally walking here, because we're so close to campus, it really helps students build up a depth of knowledge about a place.
Yeah, I think similar things at play in architectural history. The collections provide a layer of evidence that, may not be obvious to direct observation. Students often assume, for example, that the gatehouse on College Crescent is original to the 1850s cemetery, but it's actually a structure from the 1930s that reuses older bluestone from the original gatehouse. And so the building plans that are available through the library allow us to understand the evolution of the cemetery's design over time.
It's amazing, and it's quite like that with the plants as well. So there's an amazing project in the cemetery at the moment called Project Cultivate, which uses lots of native grasses, and that's similar to what would have been here pre-colonisation. And again, students assume that this would always have been the material of the cemetery, but of course through all of these stages and layers, the plant life has changed so much. What you end up with is all of these different combinations of vegetation in the cemetery that's completely unlike anywhere else in Melbourne. Some of that is garden plants that have come in through families planting on graves themselves. Plants that have migrated themselves, maybe they're wind-blown, they've come across from gardens. And then there's also some quite well-known practices of guerrilla gardening, where the community come in and they'll tend to some of the older graves.
Yeah, for architectural history, it's such a great compact archive of different architectural styles from the mid-19th century to the present day. So we get these great examples of, Gothic monuments next to Greco-Roman buildings, Egyptian obelisks, and, modernist mausolea. So you get this really great whip-through of architectural history from the 19th through the 21st centuries in this very compact space right next to campus.
We're also able to test some new technologies, so we sometimes get students to come over with the LiDAR scanners and try and capture some of the unique and amazing qualities of what it's like to be in a space like this, and then comparing that against other design techniques like sketching.
Absolutely, and it is such a great opportunity for students to compare what they see on the ground with the materials that they find in the archives. It's a really good insight into how documentary evidence provides a different type of evidence and how you might not really see what you see on paper in the real world as well.
The cemetery offers us this amazing resource in terms of a physical space, but also being able to delve into all of those archives and all of that historical material.
Absolutely. It's such a great combination of different skills that the cemetery allows us to teach.
What's been really interesting about this project is, as a faculty librarian, looking at what archival materials there and getting it ready and digitising it, building up the digital collections through 3D scans, knowing that that's there. But also, as a librarian, we're exposed to the long histories of the university. We know that the students are being brought to the cemetery over and over again. But what's missing in our records in the collections is the actual student work that hasn't been collected for whatever reason. So we have very few examples of actually the students coming in historically and using this cemetery. That's what's been really nice with working with you both, is actually thinking about what does it collect and how do we collect. So I think the more that the librarians can work with academic staff to make those choices and to be really purposeful on what we collect, that'll lead us to a much more significant long-term collection.